Some brokers need a firm behind them. Others might just need a vendor. So there's a number of fascinating approaches that are emerging in high-end residential brokerage. A business whose demise is predicted every time there's a market slowdown, oligarch crackdown, or a rush of venture capital coming in that promises to transform the industry. The brokerage hasn't really gone anywhere yet. In fact, 2021 was a banner year for many of New York's top firms, but their strategies for catering to talent have begun to sharply diverge. Let's break it down. So let's call the first approach the no player is bigger than the club philosophy, popularized by soccer club coach Sir Alex Ferguson. Now, this treats the brokerage like just another company. You almost forget that agents are actually independent contractors. The corporate brand supersedes that of any individual rainmaker. In this approach, exemplified by a Douglas Elliman, a Brown Harris Stevens, or even a relative newcomer like Compass, it's the company's expertise, training, and network that are highlighted. Executives stress that it's the firm that makes the magic happen. The second approach, let's call it the cult of social media on steroids approach, was pioneered in New York by Ryan Serhant, who left Nest Seekers to strike out on his own, recognizing that his reality TV fame and Ken doll looks were great tools with which to build a new age social first firm. Serhant's star power, extreme hustle, and willingness to rip apart the buttoned-up image of a luxury real estate broker made him a target for the old guard. He recently took a lot of heat from Brown Harris Stevens CEO Bess Friedman on a panel that I hosted, but he's clearly finding success in building something in his own image. The Serhant approach is probably the least replicable because very few brokers have that kind of reach. Elliman's Frederick Eklund or Josh Altman are the only others that really come to mind. But there's a third approach coming into focus, one that seeks out stars, but doesn't seek to outshine them. It's best epitomized by BySide, a startup that bills itself as a back office for top brokers, and it just landed two of the country's most high-profile deal makers, Tal and Oren Alexander. Now, call them what you like, attention-obsessed, controversial, bro-y, but it's clear the Alexanders are top performers. Their team at Elliman said they brokered $1.8 billion in sales across New York, South Florida, the Hamptons, and Aspen last year, and rode the wave when South Florida's high-end market went completely bananas during the pandemic. BySide's gain is a big loss for Elliman. The team represented about 3.5% of the firm's $51 billion book of business, and it's a direct challenge to New York's establishment firms, whose other rainmakers might now question their own needs for a traditional brokerage. BySide founder Guy Gall seems to be channeling former Chicago Bulls head coach Doug Collins with his get the ball to Michael Jordan and get the fuck out of the way philosophy. His company, he'll tell you, is a service provider to elite agents, nothing more. They can fire us whenever they feel like it, he said of the Alexanders. We are a vendor to them. Now, BySide has ridden that approach to a $2.5 billion valuation and built a roster of star brokers in LA, SF, and Miami, all of whom manage their own brands and pocket 90% of the spoils. Now, the startup, to be sure, has had its own challenges. It recently laid off a tenth of its staff, but landing the Alexanders gave Gal another opportunity to ask, why would New York's rainmakers give up so much of their commissions for hand-holding they don't really need? He took an aim at standard commission rates. Typically in New York, firms keep up to between 25 and 50% of the agent's commissions, depending on a variety of factors, and he called those commissions outrageous and exploitative. How are agents supposed to invest in their growth and service when they carry all the cost and risk, do all the work, and still give a quarter of their income to a company in exchange for a logo, he asked. Wild. Those are the basic competing brand philosophies that are playing out right now in residential brokerage. It's going to be a really exciting space to watch, so we'd love to get your feedback in the comments. And be sure to follow The Real Deal on YouTube and Instagram for more Paydirt breakdowns.